Mississippi, goddamn, this is our last tune. We had some request for it. Alabama's got me so upset. Tennessee made me lose my rest. And everybody knows about Mississippi, goddamn. Alabama's got me so upset. Tennessee made me lose my rest. Everybody knows about Mississippi, goddamn. Can't you see it? I know you can feel it. It's all in the air. I can't stand the pressure much longer. Somebody say a prayer. Alabama's got me so upset, and Governor Wallace has made me lose my rest. Everybody knows about Mississippi, goddamn. Hound dogs on my trail, school children sitting in jail. Black cat crossed my path. I think every day's gonna be my last. Lord have mercy on the land of mine. We all gonna get it in due time. I don't belong here, I don't belong there. I've even stopped believing in prayer. Don't tell me, I'll tell you. Me and my people just about do. I've been there, so I know. They keep on saying, go slow. That's just the trouble.
Too slow.
Washing the windows.
Too slow.
Picking the cotton.
Too slow.
We're just plain rotten.
Too slow.
We're too damn lazy.
Too slow.
Our thinking's crazy.
Too slow.
Where am I going? What am I doing? I don't know. Just try to do my very best. Stand up, be counted with all the rest. Everybody knows about Mississippi, goddamn. Picket lines, school boycotts. They try to say it's a communist plot. All I want is equality for my sister, my brother, my people, and me. You lied to me all these years. You told me to wash and clean my ears and talk real fine just like a lady, and you'd stop calling me Sister Sadie. But my country is full of lies. We all gonna die and die like flies. I don't trust nobody anymore. They keep on saying go slow. That's just the trouble.
Too slow.
Desegregation.
Too slow.
Mass participation.
Too slow.
Unification.
Too slow.
Do things gradually.
Too slow.
Will bring more tragedy.
Too slow.
Why don't you see it? Why don't you feel it? I don't know. You don't have to live next to me. Just give me my equality. 'Cause everybody knows about Alabama. Everybody knows about Mississippi. Everybody knows about Mississippi. Goddamn. That's it.
Has been disconnected. The number you have called has been disconnected. The number you have called has been disconnected.
Family. Really? am Alexis Roan, aka Alexis Grace, founder of Truth Me Story LLC, expanding empathy one story at a time, and your host for Jesus Jazz and Dessert Wine at Vespers. Jesus Jazz and Dessert Wine at Vespers is a faith and adult storytelling series. By faith, I mean we explore the presence or perceived absence of God in our lived reality, and we do this exploration via the tool adult storytelling. By adult storytelling, I mean we tell stories to adults, for adults, for people with a developed adult context. And for the reason we don't issue any apologies for how we show up in this space. We assume that everyone is here can handle what it means to be here. 7-year-olds have a story time, and now so do adults. You're welcome. Okay, so we are post-election, and my prevailing thought is, so y'all been playing in our faces this whole time, huh? Wow. And I say wow to me because there have been so many examples that I have of this exact thing, and yet somehow I continue to believe in us. And I'm like, at some point, I'm going to need to believe these stories and what they are communicating. One of them in particular that kind of resonated with me as everything began to unfold and the reality hits at 1:30 a.m. Post-election. And I'm like, oh, snap. Really? So the story happened shortly after I arrived to Raleigh. I was very excited. It was one of those moves where I was so intentional about where I was, why I was there. And there was so much clarity, and I just began to set about shaking hands, kissing babies, being in spaces that fan the flame of how and why I believe I exist on the earth. I tell stories about the sweetness of black girls and the compassion of black women, and I tell these stories on diverse platforms: page, stage, screen, web, radio, podcast. So when I arrived to Raleigh, my focus was my stage content. And also my faith-oriented spaces. So I was really clear about the faith spaces that where I spent time, and also the relationships that I was building in the theater community in Raleigh. It's a very robust community, by the way. So I was so privileged and really excited when I was extended an invitation to join a board for one of the theater companies. They focused on socially conscious content for theater. And I was like, okay, yeah, like on paper we align. And so I went through the process, was accepted, was really excited, began paying the board fees, and all was well. I was bringing my A+ game, which of course is what black women do. In every space we show up and we're like, look, we got this, we got y'all, and we're going to do all of the things. And so that was what I did. And everything was great until I was extended the opportunity to lead a very public-facing committee. And that's where it got problematic. And the problem surfaced right away. So in my very first committee meeting. There was some concerns about who would, quote, have the final say. Now, mind you, anyone who has ever worked with me or anyone who has ever worked for me, they know that I'm not egomaniacal. Like that is not my, that's not my heart. That's not my way of showing up in the world. I'm very much a servant leader, right? And so, and also, I am adept at leading, making choices, listening, being collaborative. And so I was doing all of that while also being present and practicing what I call perfect self-expression. So one of the issues that came up in this very first meeting was as I went around, did round table, and I wanted to know kind of what were everyone's priorities. I wanted to know kind of what were their foundational truths, their ethos, like how do they show up in the world, so that we could incorporate that in this committee and go and do all of the amazing things for this organization. So while I made room for everyone else to show up who fully present with who they were, I gave myself permission to do the exact same thing. And one of the things that I wanted everyone to know was how I was discouraged from joining this organization, giving my time, my talent, and my treasure to it because they had a very problematic reputation with the streets. And full disclosure, in this meeting, I let them know, hey, I want to talk with you about how the organization is imaged to a person who is brand new to the city, who has no history, only an earnest attempt to fulfill the mission. And this is the word that I got. So these are the things that we're going to have to be mindful of as we select productions and as we go about fulfilling the work of the mission of the organization. So in this first committee meeting was the chief person that the word on the street was claiming was problematic. Now, I have no problems with problematic people. I'm like, I have problems with people who don't want to grow. I have problems with people who like insist on like doubling down on where they're problematic. Those are people problems. It's like, but everyone can get a reputation for whatever reason. But this person was in the meeting. She happened to be the executive director at the time. I don't know where she is right now. But she's in this meeting, and when she's listening to me talk about word on the street is, and these are the things that we are going to be mindful of, and how we're going to be sure that we're addressing that in our content, and the way that we're showing up. We just need to be mindful of that. She is visibly shaken, and she's also saying some things to the point where I say, hey, listen, let's you and I talk after the meeting. So when I wrap my meeting and everyone has their directives, I ask if she can stay online and if we can have a conversation. Well, she says that she's not available and she chooses to not stay online and because she had some pressing work that she needed to do. Now, the artistic director was also on this committee, and I found it interesting that as he and I were talking after the meeting, she calls him. And I'm sitting there like, okay, bitch, are you available or not? So that's kind of where my head was. It's like, but obviously, she could be a person who's like conflict averse, and she needs time to like get her thoughts together, and she didn't want to go in, without having everything done. I'm like, okay, fine. I directed her, let's schedule some time when you are free. I will, acquiesce to your schedule, to your availability. But instead of calling me and saying, hey, let's meet on this day or this time for the meeting, she instead sends this long ass email. And in the email, she begins to trash one particular production that company staged. And it also happened to be a Black production. And it happened to also be a very popular Black production. And instead of her saying, I think this production is trash, she says, I think this production is trash, and also, and then she names a Black woman in the community who also apparently she had been talking with. And so she's like, and so says it's trash too. And now I'm thinking, you have put in writing that a production that you stage is trash. And that's the dumbest shit ever. Now, we got to talk about why that's something that you don't do. But because she did not follow the directive that I had given, which is to call me and let's meet, now she's put these things in writing. And I'm like, oh shit, now we have to meet face to face. But it must be also with the board director, who happens to be a white male. And he also happened to be a white male who I felt very comfortable talking with openly and earnestly. And he always seemed to be so receptive to that. And so even my approach in calling him and saying, okay, this is why, like, she shouldn't have put this in writing. This is problematic. But I think that we're now past the point of the two of us talking. I'd like for you to be in the meeting. He was like, oh, I absolutely insist on being in the meeting because we have had problems with her in the past. He says, but I'm about to travel for a couple of weeks, and so I'd like for us to talk after the fact. I was like, okay, not a problem. Travel with mercies. Fast forward, he returns from his travels, and it's a very different energy. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I literally don't have a clue at what was the shift, how that everything shifted. But it did. And in this very noticeable shift, I recognized that when they talk about being socially conscious, one of the books that they would routinely point to as proof that white progressives have always been a thing was the book To Kill a Mockingbird. It's one of their favorites. But it occurred to me in that meeting that frames are a very, very big thing. And what I said to them in the meeting was this. Y'all routinely point to the book To Kill a Mockingbird as proof that you, as a predominantly white organization doing this socially conscious work, you're not new at it, and here is proof. This book that you routinely tout as a story about a progressive white lawyer defending a black man in a rape case against a white woman, black man accused of raping a white woman, when the truth is, it's the story of a white man raping his daughter and the lengths that a white community will go through to hide and to not deal with that fact. And then I resigned. There are 4 things that we do at Jesus Jazz and Dessert Wine. The first is we offer a public lament. And here's what I lament. I got all of these stories, and y'all still have the capacity to play in my face. And not just me, all of the others who believed that big rallies and energy and I'm with her, that it actually meant something. And it didn't. I lament that we let y'all play in our face again. So here's my prophetic hope. Lament that y'all still playing in our faces. But that's a good thing for us, because now we can, without apology, unapologetically disconnect from you. The day after the election was called, I attended a melanated colloquy in Emancipation Park in Houston, Texas. 3rd Ward, Houston, Texas, one of our freedmen villages, right? So I'm on land purchased by freed, formerly enslaved people in a gentrified area. So while the melanated colloquy was happening, there was also the new residents playing pickleball on the pickleball court, right, in the space. So that's the thing. But the colloquy was all things amazing. We were called together to offer a public lament. And what happened in that space was, after we identified that y'all been playing in our faces and began to dissect exactly what happened and how we once again got caught up believing that y'all actually had us, we then began to strategize and to talk about how we gonna have each other. And then we began to laugh, and we began to tell stories, and we began to clown, and we began to tell jokes. And before you know it, it was just this raucous ass good time. We forgot that we don't have to avoid each other. We need each other. Clearly, we got. And so it was a good thing. So my prophetic hope is that when y'all play in our fucking faces, we come together, we call a melanated colloquy, and the lament can't help but eventually become joy, raucous joy, earnest joy, easy joy. And that is what we are calling forth in this moment. More of that. And more of that is going to be possible because we've disconnected from y'all who've been playing in our faces. The third thing we offer at Jesus Jazz and Dessert Wine is an energizing memory. And I think I may have talked about this before, about a very powerful retreat that continues the content from that retreat from the summer, restoring as a methodology, restoring to restore. Black as fuck, unapologetic, restoring as a methodology, like we were doing and learning and promising to practice restoration, doing all of the things that we learned in that space. But my endearing memory, my energizing memory from that gathering happened when I first walked into that space. I walked into that space, had driven from Raleigh, and I think it was in Greensboro. It was in Greensboro. So we drove up, and it was so powerful because they'd already started, and they were everyone was given the directive to pull one of the Ndinkra symbols and to read and to decide like which one resonated most with us. The symbol that I selected was Gyenyame, and forgive me if I have mispronounced that. Gyenyame. And Gyenyame is the Ghanaian symbol for that means, except for God, I fear none. Except for God, I fear none. I realize one of the ways that people be playing in our faces is selling fear, keeping us all enraged about what's going to happen. But I am energized when I remember who God is and who God has been, who God will continue to be. A couple of weeks ago, the prophetic hope was from Zephaniah, the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, verse 5, where it says, all this craziness is happening, but then verse 5 says, but God is still in the city, and God does no wrong. Day by day, God metes out justice, but the people know no shame. God is still present. Gyenyame, except for God, I fear none. Reflecting, reminiscing, and flipping back through my notes from that gathering, it's part of my energizing memory. Fourth and final thing we do at Jesus Jazz and Dessert Wine is we offer, we talk about giving. I know a lot of times you go into spaces and they're like giving, and certainly during this damn political season, which also pisses me off. Every time, you know, all of the ways that they kept bringing us on the like text messages saying give. We need money for this, we need money for that. Where'd all that fucking money go? What did it net us? When I'm talking about giving in this platform, it's not giving money, and I'm not anti-money, but I believe that there are so many frames for giving. Here's our frame today for giving. Give yourself permission to disconnect. Give yourself permission to disconnect from all of the folks that's been playing in your faces, all of the places where you have been stewing, listening, consuming, trusting, believing, and it all amounted to a bunch of bullshit. And now they want to keep selling you a different message. Give yourself permission to disconnect from all of that so that you can enter into spaces where there is lament, there is laughter, and there is a commitment to being there for each other, a renewed commitment. It's a new day. But damn, America. and still. To God be the glory. To the earth be peace. And to you be the courage to no longer permit folks to play in your face. For you to find a frame that's going to help you be present for yourself and for others whom you love, and will partner with you in partnering with God to heal the world. It's a new day. It's a good day. Ashe, Selah, Amen. So be it. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Blessings.
Everybody knows about Alabama. Everybody knows about Mississippi. Everybody knows